Number 1 for football in South Yorkshire and North Derbyshire.
Football Heaven
on BBC Radio Sheffield.
Let's quickly recap the team news from all of this afternoon's games, starting at the KCOM Stadium. Matt Shaw.
5 changes made today. Weston, Rowley, Denton, Yarney and Chapman come in for Chesterfield's final game of the season at the Prowat. They play Boreham Wood today. It's a Spy Rights against Boreham Wood.
Ahmed and Moxley at Hillsborough with playoff aspirations on the line. Steve Bruce makes 6 changes. Out go Matthias Onomet and Forestieri to the bench. Palmer, Hutchinson and Fletcher from the 18. In come Lazar, Reach, Bannon, Peliapesi, Joao and Hooper in the Championship. It's Sheffield Wednesday against Bristol City.
I'm Tom Bilcliffe for the Millers' huge clash as they battle for their championship lives. Out go Viner, Ihekwe, Robertson, Taylor and Ford. In come Jones, Wood, Towell, Williams and Newell. The teams are in the tunnel here at the New York Stadium. It's Rotherham United against Birmingham City.
I'm Mike McCarthy live at Home Park where the teams have just come out. Barnsley at Plymouth Argyle. 1 change for the Reds. Lindsay comes in. Jackson on the bench. No place in the 18 for Cavaret. Live commentary to come on AM and DAB at Plymouth against Barnsley.
Well, I'm Andy Giddings at the KCOM Stadium for Hull City against Sheffield United. Can they strike first in this extraordinary promotion battle against Leeds United? It's 2 changes for the Blades today. Egan and Hogan restored to the starting 11. Stearman and Medine make way. Right then, as ever, you have a choice of listening. FM the place to be for Hull against the Blades. It's medium wave and digital radio for Plymouth against the Reds. For the first time today, it's Make Your Mind Up time.
Number 1 for football in South Yorkshire and North Derbyshire.
Free kick comes in, headed towards goal, and it's there!
Football Heaven.
Oh, what a goal!
On BBC Radio Sheffield.
Sunshine shines bright and the temperatures rise, so too does the expectation and intensity in the footballing world. This is the greatest test of footballing nerve. Can Sheffield United get 3 points against a Hull City side who in reality have got nothing to play for, to really heap the pressure on Leeds United in the battle to be a Premier League team automatically in under 2 weeks' time? Dean Henderson is in goal. He'll be looking for his 19th clean sheet of the season today. It's a back 3 of Craney, Egan and O'Connell. Baldock, Norwood, Duffy, Fleck and Stevens in midfield. Hogan and McGoldrick are the front 2. On the bench for the Blades today, Basham, Moore, Lundstrom, Dowell, Medine, Stearman and Washington. Hull City, they've made 3 changes and there's a first championship start for former Blade George Long in goal. There's a start for Mackenzie and Pugh after suspension. Marshall, Burke and Henriksen are the 3 players to make way. Today's referee, Graham Scott, blows his whistle and we are off and underway. The red and white of Sheffield United playing from left to right as we look in the first half here against Hull City in their traditional Tigers colours. This is a pressure game, a pressure situation. Who blinks first? Keith Edwards.
Well, yeah, it's whoever likes to settle down and get your passing game going. I'm always confident that Sheffield United are going to perform to a very good standard as they have done all season. So hopefully we'll settle down to that game. I'd like to see the midfield players have a few more shots on goal, if I'm being honest. I think they can be a little bit more ambitious in wanting to score a few more goals. But overall, just same as usual, lads. I know they'll work hard, they'll be organised. It's we've got to the stage where we're going to be saying the same thing every week, isn't it? And I think to get away from that, it's who gets the little breaks during the game.
Well, Hull City are trying to build an attack here, but Egan gets his first touch to the ball in a challenge in the middle of the park and a tussle with Mark Pugh, and now Baldock's away, slaloming down the middle of the park. He pushes the ball through to McGoldrick, slipping out of his 6-yard area. George Long, against his former employers, makes the save low down. Well, Sheffield United have every reason to be confident coming into this game. Their away record is pretty decent recently. They are 7 unbeaten as Pugh takes a tumble under pressure from Craney in a central position. Hull City have been excellent at home recently, 12 unbeaten, which has included 9 wins. And you look for every little caveat with great respect to that run. every side they faced across that run, barring a 0-0 draw with Norwich City, has been against teams in the lower end of the table.
Still, as Chris
impressive run.
Yeah, it's still, as Chris pointed out, there's no gimmies in this league, as Leeds proved the other day, and teams come and battle, and they're well organised. They're in the Championship for a reason. They've had to get in that Championship, and then they've had to hold the position. So I know somebody's got to go down, but they're all half-decent sides.
Well, Kamil Grosicki takes the free kick, and his floated ball loops through the 18-yard box. He went in search of Daniel Batty, who rose for it, the youngster, but it was too high, and it sailed out of play for a goal kick. And Dean Henderson's first touch of the ball at the KCOM Stadium. Well, given the fact that it's all on Sheffield United, you won't be surprised to learn that it's the Sheffield United supporters in the corner quadrant on the far side who are making the noise here early, as Henderson takes this goal kick, launching it down the middle of the park. It's a rising Jordi Device who misses his header. Hull City though get it back, and it's pushed out towards the far side where there's a neat interchange with Todd Kane, and now Hull build down the right hand side with Bowen. Kane slipped ball to the edge of the penalty area, just looped over Bowen, and as he snapped back to get it back, he hit a shot first time that just bounced kindly for Dean Henderson, and he made a very simple save in the end.
Yeah, fairly comfortable for us that. They get down that right hand side. They look to have a little bit of pace down that right hand side. So Stevens will be busy. We know he likes to get forward, but that's how we play. Baldock has already got into the box very, very early on in the game. But he does it with pace, and he does it with no fear of having to get back. We rely on them, the back three, being solid. Nice to see Egan come back. He's been a tower of strength this season, really. There's a few question marks. 4 million, is that a lot for a centre half? But he's proved his worth.
Here's Baldock rolling the ball onto Duffy. Lovely close control as he slips away from the tackle and bundles once again into the penalty area away from Pugh. Now to McGoldrick on the edge of the box. He brings in Baldock, who wriggles away from the challenge, still in the penalty area. It's pushed back upfield though to Fleck, who sweeps it out to Stevens. Stevens now attacking down the left hand side, driving into the penalty area. Back to Fleck. And then out wide again to O'Connell, who does get the cross in. It hangs high. Duffy's underneath it. So too McGoldrick, who deflects a header well towards goal, almost into the path of Scott Hogan, but Long beat him to it and immediately dispatches the ball with pace up the middle of the park. Egan's after it, but he's got Fraser Campbell hot on his heels. The pair have a coming together at the byline. Campbell fell over, and it will be a free kick. John Egan conceding that free kick just in from the touchline.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate really. He's just slipped on the surface, and maybe they just watered it before we've got him, but he's just slipped and brought him down. To be fair to the referee, he's got no other alternative to actually give the free kick, but this is in a dangerous position.
Incidentally, in League One, Southend did beat Burton in the end, but 3-2. So free kick then to Hull City. 10-15 yards in from the corner flag here. Duffy just stood behind the white marker laid out by the referee here. Henderson stood marking his near post, and it's 0-0 at the KCOM Stadium after 5 minutes here. Here's the Poland international Grosicki on his right boot, in swinger, stung the palms of Henderson, who dabbed it down immediately for a corner.
Yeah, well, so Henderson in the right place there. They can just sneak in. But still got a corner kick to defend. And
it's Grosicki once again who will take it, shooting out Kane to offer an option, but this one into the box, and McGoldrick's downward header goes out of play for another corner to Hull City.
Just for a minute there I thought he forgot which end he was at. It's a bit too close to an own goal.
It was a little bit.
That shows that we're a bit nervy, doesn't it? And it's only right. Whenever you want something badly, you always get a little bit nervous. They've just got to be controlled.
So Grosicki taking a third corner in quick succession, all on this near side. The Hull left, pinged in at the near post. Henderson, well, he came and grabbed it at the second attempt, and just a slight sign of nerves.
Yeah, it was always under control of it. It wasn't a worry too much, was it? Sometimes that happens. It's great when a keeper gets a good first touch like that, and he actually gets his. All right, he's not caught it cleanly, but he's come out and got it, and that's the priority. You put people off crossing if your keeper comes and looks for it. Now, we need to put a little bit of pressure on George Long. He maybe looks at that and thinks, well, he's got a bit of a point to prove. But, so we've got to look at that.
In today for David Marshall, and Fraser Campbell's powering away down the far side. Jack O'Connell had it swept up nicely, then gets shoved to the deck for his troubles. It will be a goal kick, though, to Sheffield United. Last season, of course, at Hull City, Keith, you remember the temperatures because we've already been talking about it, but that was the game when Chris Wilder really launched at the players saying it was all over. 2 games later it was back on.
Well, he's going to let his frustrations out, isn't he? He's going to, sometimes he's going to have a go. I think he plays the part very well. I visualise him putting an arm around him and having a bit of a laugh. He can do both, and that's what you need. I've played under so many managers that have just been just one way, and it's their way and that's it, and they couldn't change. And I like to see managers get on well with these players. I think they have a good relationship. They're a good set of lads who work well together, and that includes manager and assistant manager.
Well, he's stood on the right edge of his technical area at the moment, sweeping his arm forward just to get the players to move up 10 yards or so. A couple of yards away from Nigel Adkins, which is a nod to the past and where Sheffield United were, of course. He's clearly a good manager, Nigel Adkins, who just didn't really work out for Sheffield United. Well, it was terrible. The worst finish in 33 years. What a dramatic transformation it has been under Chris since then.
And to be fair to Atkinson, he's turned these around. These were struggling, and then they've had a good run since Christmas. So credit to him, and it was just his style of play, wasn't it? And how he used to talk after the game, which really didn't do himself any favours with that, in my opinion. His
76th game in charge of Hull City, and a throw-in on this near side to the home side, and it's the American Lehigh who will take it. Just gets a word to the wise from Device to send it back upfield rather than pick out a centre half, and it's straight onto the head of Martin Craney. Chris Basham, incidentally, Blade Supporters, is amongst the substitutes today, so his hamstring injury minor. News on Billy Sharp later. Chris Wilder was under the impression that both might make it for Ipswich at the weekend. Well, Basham, of course, is back today. Craney having to react quickly just to stab the ball from the halfway line away from Grashicki. No goals as yet if you're just tuning in. No goals elsewhere in the Championship either today, as McGoldrick takes up possession, rolls it in for Baldock, who will turn just outside the penalty area. He'll nudge it back towards McGoldrick here, who tries to beat the defender Lehigh, and it's cannoned off the American, and it goes out of play for a goal kick. He's screaming at the linesman saying he was dragged back, but the final touch came off him, and Sheffield United have the set piece.
Yeah, McGoldrick, bit of hay fever coming on again. Always get it this time of the year, just as we come into the final few commentaries. But McGoldrick once again coming out on this right side midfield, and I would prefer to see him more into the box and look for goals more than anything.
Well, here is Fleck on the right corner quadrant. This ball swept in. McGoldrick! David McGoldrick opens the scoring for Sheffield United at the KCOM Stadium. He was unmarked, and that for a player like David McGoldrick is a gift. Perfect start for the Blades. 10 gone, Hull 0, Blades 1.
As I was saying, I like him in the box where he can score goals, and for me he should more of a central position, but fair play to the lad, he's still getting his goals. But you've got, if you look at it from the Hull City point of view, my word, who didn't go with him? He's got a free header 4 yards out, but to be fair to him, he's buried it great as well. Like nobody running, nobody's took him, and that's just that's the start we would dream about as we're travelling down here. So I'm hoping that'll settle us down, make them a little bit nervous. I don't say that they've got anything to be nervous about because they're not playing for anything, as you've highlighted, but that I'm hoping settles us down and get down to, it's about getting the basics right and the deliveries, and that's what I think we can possibly improve upon, the delivery. And that was the perfect delivery. So great start from Blades, and that crowd reacted beautifully, didn't it? I mean, that's a great follow-in today to fill that corner. That's a good sight.
Well, 14 for the season for McGoldrick, and Sheffield United are up and running at Hull City.
I can't imagine McGoldrick's ever had, not being disrespectful, because I've seen him play over the years, but I've never seen him have this must be one of his best seasons, and you've got his age to take into consideration.
31,
as well. Yeah, he's superb, and fitness alone. because he was a little bit injury prone at one stage. So how well has he done?
Well, there must be something to be said for travelling. If you're travelling,
that has been mentioned
several times a week, and it won't be every day, of course, because they'll stay in a hotel. But if you're travelling several times a week from your home base in Nottingham to Ipswich, you've then got your training to do, your matches, you sat still.
I'm sorry, that just doesn't work. And if you sign for somebody, I remember going. I know I shouldn't talk about myself. I'm not talking about myself. It's just in my time, you had to move to the area that you played for, and I totally agree. I mean, I lived Sheffield. Second time around, I said not a chance. Not at my age. At that, so I was 32, 33. But the first time I moved to Hull, and I think it's the correct thing to do. You've got to be committed. They're paying you wages. That's a bad journey to be able to do, even if it's 2 or 3 times a week.
Absolute
so that
nightmare.
wouldn't have helped him, that's for sure. So he's hey, look, concentrate on today, Keith, and that was a fabulous finish and just the start we needed.
So 12 and a half gone. The Blades a goal to the good here. Hull City have it out on the far side, pushed into the middle, and Campbell in the D on the edge of the box. He miscontrolled. Sheffield United dispatch it to halfway, and Device. And it's rolled back to the edge of the penalty area. Long immediately comes out, gets a shoulder charge from Hogan, but he made enough on the ball to clear it towards the halfway line. Right, let's see how everybody else is getting on, starting at the New York Stadium. Rotherham against Birmingham. Tom Bilcliffe.
Rotherham 0, Birmingham City 0, an end-to-end open start. Rotherham feel they should have had 1, maybe 2 penalties when Richard Wood on both occasions has been wrestled to the floor from 2 set pieces. At the other end, Michael Morrison has headed over from a corner kick, while Shea Adams has forced a save from Rodat. We've just got a set piece which Joe Newell will float into the box towards the back post, and Camp will gather under pressure. 12 minutes gone, Millers 0, Birmingham City 0.
Off to Hillsborough we go. Sheffield Wednesday against Bristol City. Adam Oxley.
13 gone here, Andy. 0-0 between the Owls and Bristol City. Good start by Wednesday. They were an early corner deep from Bannon, headed back across by Lees, and Hooper 4 yards out, just couldn't keep it down over the top of the bar. Schwowes also had an effort from 18 that O'Leary palmed away. Decent stuff this from Steve Bruce's side. 0-0.
No goals at home park either for Barnsley in League One. Wigan are leading Preston by a goal to 0. An important goal at the foot of the table, although in reality you'd probably think that it's between Rotherham and Millwall for the final spot to stay in the Championship. Sheffield United have a free kick here. George Baldock was fouled, and the Blades fans, well, they're having a party over on the far side in the sunshine. And Sheffield United have a free kick here. Long way to go in this game, but Sheffield United have scored through David McGoldrick his 14th goal of the season. Sheffield United looking to complete their first league double over Hull since 2006. In that season, they got promoted. Funny how it works, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good sign. Long way to go for today, mind. I think it started off a nice performance. And I think that I just look at today and I think there's goals in this game. I really do. I think there's the goals are there.
Norwood floats in a free kick, and George Long with a double fist punch away from an on-rushing Jack O'Connell. The Blades can continue on here down the far side, the left. Here's the diminutive Fleck turning over the ball. He's got support from Craney should he need it, but he's gone back to Duffy, and now Norwood in the centre circle just rolls it into the path of Stevens with a first-time ball. Stevens then pumps it long to the edge of the penalty area. Jack O'Connell has stayed forward, and although he did bring the ball under control, he'd stepped off side by a couple of yards, and it will be a free kick to Hull City. Hull City then, they've had to come from behind in their past 3 home games, which they've won: Swansea, Reading and Wigan. Cauley Woodrow scored for the Reds at Plymouth, so the Reds are leading by a goal to 0. Portsmouth victorious earlier against Coventry City, and we've had 16 engrossing minutes here at the KCOM Stadium, where the ball goes out of play for a throw-in, quickly taken by Lehigh into Mark Pugh in the centre circle, and now it's pushed out towards the far side by Daniel Batty, and he misdirected his pass, and out of play it goes for a throw-in. Just a young kid though, played an awful lot in the Championship this season for Hull City.
Good closing down from Hogan, mind. He put him under pressure. He's quick, he looks athletic. I know he must be dying to get off to a good start. He's been in and out the side, and it's always difficult to do for a striker like that when he needs a little bit of a run, but he gets his chance today. And he gives us a bit of pace.
Well, he's got one goal, hasn't he, against Bristol City? He'll be desperate for another. But here, Hull come forward again with Pugh. Out to this near side, and Grzycki. Craney backpedaling to the edge of the penalty area. Grzycki tees at the cross, but it takes a little bobble. Campbell flew at it. His sliding interception is dispatched away by Martin Craney. And Hogan just lays it out towards the far side where Enda Stevens can start the Blades counter-attack. His square ball picks out John Fleck here with Sheffield United leading by 1-0. Stevens, who scored a lovely goal against Nottingham Forest on Friday, a great finish from an acute angle as he swept it in. And the pass though from Fleck high and crossfield in search of Baldock, it drops out of play for a throw-in. So Hull 0, Sheffield United 1 here at the KCOM Stadium. It's Chris Wilder's 149th match in charge of Sheffield United, and we have an early goal at Hillsborough. Adam Oxley.
And take a bow, Barry Bannon 1-0 up. He's hit it from a very similar position to which Fernando Forestieri hit it on Friday at Carrow Road, and it sailed into the top corner. Wonderful strike by the Scot. He's first since December, he's first here since last September, and the Owls are ahead. Wednesday 1, Bristol City 0.
Hogan driving down the inside left channel of the penalty area, pressuring the defender, but Todd Kane, the Chelsea youngster, sweeps it into the stand on the far side. Sheffield United have an attacking throw-in, and Stevens has gone out there to take it. Republic of Ireland international John Fleck joins the attack, and his little volley gets it back to Stevens over on the far side. Jack O'Connell, centre half, marauding forward, turns over the ball, beats a second man, and people are surprised by that. Here's John Fleck driving in field. Stevens lays it back looking for Fleck, only partially cleared by Hull City. Duffy now, who will clip it out towards O'Connell into the box. Backward header away by Lehigh, and Baldock will control it just before it goes out of play. He tried to sweep it in with the instep of his right boot, but Grzycki was there to defend on the edge of the penalty area, and Lehigh will win it back in the left back position and chip it away down this near side. One in the air by Norwood, a little miscontrol by Duffy, so Hull City get it back here. Made a little early running Hull City, but it's Sheffield United who have the goal as McGoldrick dives in on his challenge on Batty, and the Blades get it back, and Fleck is motoring forward here. He's got an opportunity to shoot, but in the end he's prodded it out wide to Stevens, and it goes! Hogan! Oh, Hogan took his eye off the ball. It might not have counted anyway, but Keith, I sense you felt Fleck should have had a goal from there.
Well, for me, he has a pop-out goal, which I'm okay with. I highlighted earlier on. I think we could shoot a bit more from midfield. I need to see a few more goals from there. But his pass to Stevens slowed Stevens down. Got to push it in front of him, and then he whip it across. But it was good to see Hogan get across to the near post, even though he was just caught offside.
So football heaven on BBC Radio Sheffield. Sheffield United leading at Hull City by 1-0. Barnsley leading at Plymouth by the same scoreline, and Wednesday 1, Bristol City 0 is the latest score there too as well. No goals at the New York Stadium or Prague Stadium. And we will be with Donny for full commentary tomorrow night. So Martin Craney will prepare to take a throw in here. Has made 3 Premier League appearances for Huddersfield Town. His long looping throw in headed back by McGoldrick, and he had to stretch Craney to keep that from going out of play. And now the ball drops in the centre circle, and here's Hull City's danger man, Jared Bowen. Plenty of Premier League interest in him after his 21 goals this season. He's laid it out to the left, and Grzycki. Back to Bowen, back to Grzycki, who chips the cross back stick. Pugh's there, gets a volley on it. Volleyed away by Enda Stevens. Only as far as Daniel Batty. Sweeping the ball infield towards Jackson Irvine, the Australia international, and it's pushed down the right channel of the Blades penalty area towards Jared Bowen, but it was well off target, and in the end, cheap possession conceded. The Blades have it back with the goal kick.
Second time round it was cheap possession. They give it away too easy, but it shows that there can be a little bit of a threat both sides. I thought they started quite brightly, Hull down that right hand side. They looked to have a bit of pace, and on this occasion they've got down the left, so hasn't troubled us too much, although if he hooks that back, then I think the keeper might have been in a bit in trouble. He would have been slightly out of position, but home sides at this level, they're going to have a little bit of joy from time. They're going to have a bit of the game.
Well, here's McGoldrick, who's got one and he's after another. Oh, goodness me. Boy, has he got it. That is an outstanding goal from David McGoldrick, just outside the left corner of the penalty area. He's bent it beautifully past a diving George Long, and it nestled in the bottom corner. Well, it's time to dream, Blades fans. The pressure certainly on Leeds United, and it's Hull City 0, Blades 2. David McGoldrick at the double.
Well, what a signing he's been. You have to say, it's just been phenomenal. I get frustrated at times with him because I think he's out of position, but he's got all the ability in the world. And what a finish. What a finish that is. Well, I thought it backed me a nervy game. Well, we can relax, not too much, because Chris won't allow his team to relax, but we've defended well. I'm going to go back to one of Chris's sayings. We've won his headers, we've won his tackles, we've won his little races. Hopefully, all what's to win now is the game. So,
well, there's certainly
there's a long to go.
Well, there's 3/4 of it to go, but
yeah, that's it. It's always a worry, but that's what a start. We couldn't ask for any more than that, and two wonderful goals, especially the second one. But look, it's a good performance as well. And if this doesn't tell you something about Sheffield United as a team, don't forget this Hull City side haven't been beaten since December, I think, at home. So it tells you something about them. It's a good start. Game isn't won yet, and now it needs composure. The beauty of it now is we don't need to go chasing. But Hull City will throw everything at us now.
Well, Sheffield United are leading by 2-0. Barnsley have got a second at Plymouth. Brown on the score sheet. What an addition he's been. And a goal at the New York Stadium. Tom Biltcliffe.
Rotherham United 1, Birmingham City 0. What a massive goal, and who else but Matt Crooks, who's popped up 6 yards out to stab home at the second attempt past the despairing dive of Lee Camp. Rotherham want a piece of the action as well, and they've got it so far. 22 minutes gone, Millers 1, Birmingham City 0.
Well, all the noise here at the KCOM Stadium is coming from the Blades corner quadrant here. It is they who lead by 2-0. David McGoldrick, his first was an unmarked header, his second was an absolute screamer, bent through the penalty area. Long really had no chance, and a great finish. Well, clearly if he had 14 with his first goal, he's now got 15 for the season with his second goal here, and it is the greasy chip butty song that reverberates around Hull right now. Craney preparing to take another throw-in on this near side, the right. Onto McGoldrick's knees on a hat-trick now. Hull get it back, and it's at the feet of the Dutchman Device. Device firing it long down the middle of the park, stepping across to win his header above Bowen, Jack O'Connell, and now Ender Stevens. Picks up Fleck. Of course, goal difference might be important. Leeds will play later, of course, but that means the difference is now 8. As it's rolled back to the edge of the Hull City penalty area. Device under pressure, McGoldrick blocking, and it will be a goal kick to Hull City. Well, an important goal for Rotherham United in any case, but Wigan are leading as well. Millwall lost to Aston Villa earlier in the day. Well, every day is significant in the Championship and League One right now. Lincoln City can win League Two today, as the ball is pushed to the back. Here's Robbie McKenzie out of Hull City's academy. Played quite a bit this season. He's been recalled today after injury to Reece Burke, who was a significant player for them. Henriksen's out too as well. And the change in goal for Marshall, well, our colleagues at Radio Humberside seem to think that that's Nigel Adkins planning for the future if and when. Well, he will be becoming a free agent, David Marshall, and he's on a pretty penny as well. That might be out of Hull City's grasp, given the fact that this is the last season they will have parachute payments, and there are other financial problems here. But Sheffield United are leading by 2-0. The diminutive Duffy brings it down off his chest, shepherds it back to Fleck, who has time and space to manoeuvre it forward to Duffy again, who canters forward to the corner of the penalty area. Here's Stevens cross, trying to tee up McGoldrick, but the midfielder Irvine got in the way and just dabbed it back to George Long. Any mistake there from the Australian? McGoldrick scores.
Yeah, and Hogan wasn't too far away, but it was initially tried to push McGoldrick in, and why not? He's the man in form, but we've got down that left-hand side with pretty much ease, and Duffy and Stevens are connecting well.
Norwich City lead at Stoke by a 0-0. Onel Hernandez on the score sheet. Here's Grzycki into the penalty area towards Pugh for Hull City, who turned into the challenge with Egan, who nudged it away, and then with a sliding interception knocks the ball out of play for a throw-in, and then with a fist pump rattles the Blades defenders back into life. So Sheffield United 2-0 to the good here. Grzycki into the feet of the ponytailed Irvine. His last goal was for Australia against the Oman in the latter stages of 2018. Here he comes again, Irvine, whose left-footed cross is plucked out of the air by Dean Henderson, and he made the save just in front of the travelling support.
Yeah, well, good defending. You look at Egan and his no-nonsense centre-half digs in, just reminds me of Chris Morgan, when we went up again, and you need that. We talk about the basics, and you make people feel very uncomfortable when you tackle as hard as that, and I think he could have won that ball without having to tackle as hard as he did, but that's in his makeup, and that's it. He's sending a message out there. He's doing well.
Well, Dean Henderson has the ball in his possession at the moment. He's just ushering them forward a couple of paces. 18 clean sheets to his name. In theory, the Blades could surpass their record of 20 last set in 83-84. I know they got one in 81-82, but this is equaling the stint of the 100-point promotion season of 18. So you never know. As the ball is at the feet of Jared Bowen. He rolls it back to Todd Kane on his 9th different loan away from Chelsea at 25 years old. He's kind of in the same boat as Michael Hector at Sheffield Wednesday. Not going to get used by Chelsea, a ghost player almost, as Grzycki takes on Craney, low centred ball into the penalty area, intercepted by Fleck after a deflection from Norwood, and it bounced out of play for a throw-in. Big goal in League One. Charlton lead Scunthorpe by a 0-0. Scunthorpe, of course, very much in danger of relegation. Charlton very much involved in the hunt for second spot. Barnsley, though, leading at Plymouth by 2-0. They themselves, of course, not clear of trouble. In fact, it's 3. Alex Mowat on the score sheet down at Home Park. So Barnsley doing their bit as the Blades are doing theirs. And if you're just tuning in, Rotherham are doing theirs as well, leading Birmingham City by a 0-0. We're about to tick towards the half hour. We'll whip round the grounds in the not too distant future. Dean Henderson spotting the ball on the edge of his 6-yard box. Played in every division from the National League to the Championship. I dare say he will be a Premier League goalkeeper next season, regardless of what happens over the course of the next few weeks. Duffy with a little flick on here. It was intercepted, any mistake, and Hogan might have been in, but the clearance came from Device. And now Hull City build down this near side, which is their left. Lehigh out to Grzycki, who's just in from the corner flag. A heavy touch, and he showed too much of the ball to Baldock. Hull City kept at arm's length, and here's Jackson Irvine. On to Grzycki again, but Craney is with him. Just brushed him out of the way, and the ball into the stand. And it's 2-0 to the Blades. Keith, on the half hour.
Well, we can easily talk about 2 great goals, but if you go back to the other end of the pitch, I think we've defended extremely well. We don't seem to be giving them an inch in many respects. We're tough into the tackle, and we're reading the situation well. Yes, I mean, there's every chance they can come back into the game. Hull go forward well. I think that defensively they're a bit nervy.
Pugh hooking across, which a diving headed clearance from Jack O'Connell sends out a play for a corner. A little bit hesitant there, Sheffield United defensively.
Yeah, well, they're bound to have the moments, won't they? Hull City, they'll get this ball down there, but once again, first to the ball. That's what I love to see. First to the ball. That gets the danger away.
So Grosicki with another corner, bent into the penalty area, the heads go up and it's Enda Stevens who made the contact, and away it goes. Fleck now powering on down the far side, he's got the pace to get past the covering challenge, but he's just lost his geography a little bit and runs the ball out of play for a throw-in, but well clear of the penalty area. Right, 2-0 here to Sheffield United. Let's see how Rotherham are getting on against Birmingham City. Tom Bilcliffe.
Yeah, Rotherham 1, Birmingham City 0, although as Matt Crooks, the goal scorer, he looked to ghost in. He's just been thwarted at the moment. The Millers had been relying predominantly on set pieces, most of which had come through Will Volks's throwing, whilst Birmingham looking quite threatening on the counter without testing Marek Rodak too much. As things stand, Rotherham would be just 4 points from Birmingham with 2 games left. Strange things have happened. 30 on, Rotherham 1, Birmingham 0.
Well, strange things do seem to happen in the Championship every week. What about Wednesday? Last we heard they were leading there in a moment as Egan covers on the edge of the penalty area, goes out of play for a throw-in. Adam Oxley.
Yeah, 14 to the break here, still Wednesday 1, Bristol City 0 through Barry Bannon's spectacular goal at 17 minutes into this one. Since then, Bristol City have come increasingly into the game. Good 1-2 between De Silva and Giju, but De Silva scuffed his shot wide. Just one chance for Wednesday, reach along the floor from 30. It's 1-0 to the Owls.
Well, an attacking throw-in for Hull City. Lehigh will take it. It's brought under control off the knee of Kamil Grosicki. Grosicki will turn, look towards the edge of the penalty area. It's scooped over the top of a couple of defenders to Lehigh at the byline. He tried to squeeze the cross past Craney, who stood his ground, and behind it goes for another corner.
Yeah.
Hull are good at getting those.
Yeah, a bit more defending to do, but they're having a bit of joy down this left-hand side.
And it will be another corner. Boreham Wood are leading at Chesterfield by 1-0. Grosicki takes 5 or 6 paces away from the corner quadrant on the left-hand side. He steps up, powers it right-footed. And when I say power it, I mean absolutely smash it. Enda Stevens has won it in the air, partially cleared. It will drop out to Grosicki again, who had to hit it on the half volley and quickly, always rising. And in the end, it went into row Z.
Yeah, that's what we like to see. Once again, winning the corners. First one to get the header away. Okay, the lad's got a shot in there, but 2 people closing him down, throwing the body on the line.
Well, Sheffield United have got the 3rd best away record in the division. Only Leeds and Norwich have got more points than the Blades on the road this season. Mind you, Sheffield United have an excellent record against teams currently in the top 6. They've only lost once to a side in the top 6 this season. That was Middlesbrough back in August.
Yeah, we've done
Seems
well.
like a different season.
Yeah, I know what you mean by that. It's a long season, but I have to say the way we play suits us, and this is what Chris has took on board as well. Away from home, it's not a different style of play, and it's just the same, and it catches a lot of teams out. You know, the emphasis is the home team to go out and win the game, so they've got to take it there, and it leaves a few gaps, as we've seen today, but they do that very well.
Norwood scissor kicking the ball forward up to David McGoldrick, who's on a hat-trick here at the KCOM Stadium. 34 minutes of the game played, but he was dispossessed, and now Hull look to counter-attack. Fleck brushing into the challenge. He's done ever so well there, the Scot, to win it back, and now Norwood floating a ball forward looking for Hogan, but the covering defender Mackenzie is there, and it's headed away from the apex of the penalty area here. Well, Sheffield United so far showing all the hallmarks of a top Championship team. They are leading here by 2-0. McGoldrick second, an absolute screamer past George Long in the Hull City goal. First one wasn't so bad, but he was unmarked in the process. So 15 for the season for him. And now the ball is at the feet of the defender Device, former PSV youth team player, and he's floated a lovely ball forward there, catching 2 offside, and the Blades get it back.
I'm just smiling because it's took him an age to put the flag up, hasn't it? I started getting a little bit worried. So it's good defending once again. The hold the line, they come out together. They're very, very much on the same wavelength, the back 3. I must mention Senior Blades. Thank you for that reminder, Brian. I will try and get there eventually, and I've got busy things, but all their functions are coming up soon, and please go to them because they're a great set of guys that's very interesting. They have some good speakers on, and Senior Blades.
So football heaven on BBC Radio Sheffield. Praise or grumble will follow all of this afternoon's games. 0800 111 49 49. Well, so far it's turning out to be an excellent day for the sides in South Yorkshire and not North Derbyshire actually, because Chesterfield are losing, but you never know. Here's Duffy crossing from the right hand side onto the boot of Enda Stevens. He controls it, shoots right footed into the midriff of the defender Mackenzie. McGoldrick's after it, so too Kane. Kane's tripped. It will be a free kick to Hull City in the right back area.
With Stevens' sweet left foot, do you not think he should have just hit that on the volley?
Yes.
You know, when it's your day, every now and then they just fly in the top corner. I thought that was set up for a beautiful first time volley, but he's not given the ball away. He's kept it in there. It's a good performance, taking how much pressure there is on these games. It's a good performance.
And he should be full of confidence in front of goal. He scored on Friday.
Well, yeah, exactly. It was a great goal as well. Didn't he finish? He finishes that like if he's a season goal scorer, 25 a season. But that was a great finish. And Duffy's was. We've seen some spectacular goals,
haven't we, this weekend? Well, he's got 2, Enda Stevens, which for him actually is prolific.
Yes,
he's got other uses.
Yeah, well, it's a bonus, isn't it? And that's how we see it. I think when you're bombing down that left, but you can't say he's not keen to get forward.
No, you certainly can't. And neither the centre half either. Well, here's Craney. Craney will try and just flick the ball through his leg, but it's cannoned off Lee High, and an attacking throw-in is won 5 or 10 yards up from the corner flag on this near side.
Going back to these fullbacks, if there's 2 fullbacks get further forward than Stevens and Baldock, well, I've yet to see them.
They have been superb in that respect this year. Here's Craney dragging his studs over the ball to Baldock, teeing the ball up. He's just flicked it nonchalantly back further out to the touchline, and Duffy, he sweeps it square into Fleck along the deck here, chance for Hogan to shoot on the turn, and he has decent football, blocked by the defender Device. It will be a corner to the Blades.
That's the type of ball that Hogan wants, just down the sides of the centre half, in between centre half and fullback. He's got pace. He's just tried to hit that across the goal. It might go in, or somebody might get an easy tap in, so that's good service from Fleck.
Cries of United from the away end as Fleck spots this ball on the corner quadrant. Oliver Norwood drops down to this near side to offer himself as an option, but this one's going in left footed into the penalty area. Free header, and it's bounced just wide of goal from John Egan, who really flew at the ball, but it bounced narrowly wide.
Yeah, well, if it was 0-0, I would say you wouldn't have a better chance than that, because that should really be 3-0. Hit the target and that's game over. But once again, who's picking people up there? You look to get corner kicks there. It's a great strike. Don't get me wrong. The service into that 6-yard box. George Long can't actually come for it because it's hit too well. And whoever centre halves for Hull are really not going with the runners.
So Egan, should he have scored? It was certainly a good chance to score, yeah. Well, he's not scored since the Norwich game a while ago, but clearly has been one of Sheffield United's better. Well, they've all been good this year, but he's been an outstanding performer. Here's Kay. Down the line it goes to Bowen. Bowen runs into the considerable challenge of Jack O'Connell, and the ball is dispatched back into the Hull City half. If you're just tuning in, where have you been? 39 minutes of the game played. David McGoldrick's 2 goals have the Blades on course for another victory, this time against Hull City. Football heaven on BBC Radio. Sheffield Wednesday are leading at home in their game to Bristol City. Rotherham United are beating Birmingham by 1-0 as well. Plymouth are being thumped by Barnsley by 3-0. Here's Kane slipping the ball onto Bowen, who's driving to the byline. He stands up the cross into the penalty area. It's brought under control by Grashicki. He fired it towards the 6-yard box. Sheffield United conspire to get it away. An overhead kick clearance from Fleck.
I know I'm nervous when I'm heading and kicking them out myself. I'm twitching here. But good once again. Good defending.
It is quite steep here. Watch those steps.
Don't kick it very far now, I'm afraid. But I'm just a tad anxious out on occasions. Great touch on.
So football heaven, and McGoldrick's away. He and the ball cannoned into Jordi Device, the one defender for Hull City who can perhaps have some credit from their opening exchanges, and the ball goes out of play for a throw-in over on the far side. A sparsely populated KCOM Stadium. Clearly the fans have their issues with the running of the football club. The away segment is populated to the max. Off to Hillsborough in a second. Sheffield United on the attack here with Fleck driving to the corner of the penalty area. He's rolled it out to Stevens back to McGoldrick, the defender, as he slid in for the ball, made quite heavy contact with it as it veered towards goal. Sheffield United continue to keep the pressure on here, and here's Craney, a little isolated by the corner flag, gets support from Baldock here. It will be an attacking throw into the blades. Quickly Hillsborough, Adam Oxley.
5 minutes to the break. Wednesday 2, Bristol City 0. Lucas João chesting and chipping the ball over O'Leary. De Silva couldn't keep it out. João's 10th of the season, 2-0.
Here's Craney on the edge of the penalty area. Blades on the attack. Baldock bends it into the box. Arriving late and arriving perfectly to head in Sheffield United's third goal of the game. It's Enda Stevens. What a beautiful cross, met by a powerful header, and the Blades are cruising. Hull City 0, Sheffield United 3.
Well, my word, we're getting goals from all over now, aren't we? Stevens has played superb this first half. He's got bombed down that left, and then all of a sudden, and what were we just talking about earlier on, allowing people to get forward with the freedom of not having to worry about the back three, or whether it's a back three or a back four. But what a goal again. We've been treated well here today, so that's just stunning from full back to full back, and there creates your goal. Not too many teams do that, and I applaud Chris immensely for that ability to say to your players, just go forward and don't worry. What a goal.
Goal difference isn't looking too shabby now, is it? Goodness
Please,
me.
Yeah. It's enjoyable, but I wish I could enjoy it more. I'm still, I don't know why, but I'm still a little bit nervous, but what a performance. And I come back to that back three, they set the tone, win the headers, win the free kicks, and win at all costs, and they've set that tone.
Well, Hull City have it back. They're 3-0 behind. Sheffield United have 3 goals here, 2 for McGoldrick, 1 for Enda Stevens, who's now on 3 himself for the season. Here's Todd Kane over on the far side. He scored a couple of goals against West Brom the other day, although Hull City went on to lose 3-2. Lehigh on the left now as Hull City switch flanks, brings it off his chest, but is met by the challenge of David McGoldrick. Football Heaven on BBC Radio Sheffield. Lehigh with the throw-in just up from the edge of the penalty area to Jackson Irvine. And then a foul by Duffy, just niggling into the back of Lehigh, and it will be a free kick which Grzycki will take.
I think you look at the time now, and all right, Hull City on the attack, but you've got to be aware of it. You know it as a player. You've got to be aware of the time now. Make sure you go in at 0.
Well,
I know that's been a bit overcautious at 3-0, but keep the standard of defending. Don't concede a goal.
Here's Lehigh up to Fraser Campbell, who's glancing backward header in the end is straight at Dean Henderson. So easy save for him. He's not had a great deal to do, Dean Henderson. You will perhaps see the stats charts and say Hull City have had a load of corners. Well, they have, but none of them really made the Blades goalkeeper sweat.
Well, this is a team that haven't lost all season at home, well, from the new year. No. So credit to them. Though, you look on paper and think this is a tough game. This is what I'm saying. People ask me for predictions when I'm walking around Graves Park, and I'm sorry, I just don't know, because you just don't know what's going to be thrown up in the Championship.
Who's to say what's going to happen as Grzycki slaloms into the penalty area, but his cross with the outside of his right boot is dispatched by Jack O'Connell. Now there is a little potential here for a counter-attack, but the ball a little short for McGoldrick just behind the centre circle. Hull get it back and are looking for anything. Really, they've been hammered by Sheffield United, no question.
Yeah, they've been in it at times. They've still got forward quite well, and I still think they're capable of going forward. But I thought, to me, they looked a little bit worried at the back, a little bit nervy, and that's surprising when they've had such a good record since the new year. But going forward, they're capable.
Here's DeVice out to Lehigh. Irvine gets involved, and now DeVice again, the Dutchman on the ball. He looks square in field now to Irvine pushed forward as we enter 2 minutes of added time. Sheffield United get it back, and it's shepherded away along the deck by Egan into the centre circle to McGoldrick. Here's Stevens to McGoldrick, whose first time ball goes back to O'Connell. 0800 1 49 49 is the number for praise or grumble at 5. Egan should have scored. It could be 4-0 with a header.
Yeah, good, certainly good shot. I mean, what we've had 4 or 5 chances, knocked 3 in. You'll take that, won't you? Just see this first half out now, guys. Professional, don't give anything away, and it'll be very difficult for Hull City to actually motivate themselves. But last time we were 3-0 up.
Listen, when you mentioned that before a minute or so ago, I thought, don't say it. Twitter's bad enough at times, so you've just walked into that.
Well, it's just a little fact, just to prove that I do know my stuff.
It was more about just not reminding people as Grashicki goes through the shot, cannoned off Egan, easy in the end for Henderson to make the save.
Well, sometimes I make points like that because you know what I'm really hugely impressed with is the way we've responded that, and the management, Chris and Alan would have said that's never happened again, because I think everybody, including us and the management team, switched off. And you know, when you consider the West Brom game, switched on and seen that 1-0 out, great.
Well, they've not had a day like that since. Had some excellent points and indeed victories along the way. On the road recently, last time they lost on the road, Sheffield United, January the 19th down at Swansea in what was a miserable game down there really. But it's hard to make the case that they're going to lose today. They're 3-0 up, it should have been more. And we're not even reached half time yet. We've just about had time at the end of the half.
Yeah.
Long ambling to the edge of the box, beaten 3 times the former Sheffield United goalkeeper. Well, there are boos around the KCOM Stadium, but they are overshadowed by the thousands of Sheffield United. Well, welcome back to the KCOM Stadium. It will be Hull City who will get this second half underway. No changes made by either Chris Wilder or Nigel Adkins. We're just waiting for the referee to get proceedings off and underway. Sheffield United in their red and white striped shirts, white shorts and black socks here. David McGoldrick at the double and Enda Stevens have given Sheffield United a more than commanding lead here against Hull City, who get the second half off and underway, playing as we look from left to right. It was a massive statement of intent from Sheffield United. Keith Edwards in the first half. Now's the time to ram it home.
Certainly it was. I mean, the games, with the hard work's done, the game's won. You've just got to be professional and see it out, keep good possession, keep possession for long periods of the game, and it'll be difficult for Hull to get back. But you know, we've already mentioned it, so we can mention it again, but you've just got to keep your concentration level, and these lads don't give up. They're still going to chase everything down, whether it's 3-0, 6-0 or 0-0. That's what they do. They've done it all season, so it's just about being patient and closing people down, and people's experience like Fleck and Norwood and all that, they know that they just have to keep the ball.
Not to taking anything away from David McGoldrick's first goal, but the 2 that preceded it were fantastic goals aesthetically, as Lee High launches an attacking throw into the penalty area, and then a stabbed shot up and away from Mark Pugh. It had Dean Henderson scrambling a little, but it was well wide of target.
Yeah, well, you'd expect Hull. I mean, what have they got to play for? They know they're not going to be in the playoffs. So they can take a few chances. So we have to just be careful of that. And yes, they'll get half a dozen chances somewhere on the lines through that this second half. If the half-cut chances, well, fair enough. But you know, we've just got to keep that standard. And then once you've got, feel as if you're confident enough to keep that win, then you just can try and conserve a little bit of energy, possibly.
Well, here it's at the feet of Batty, who drops his shoulder, turns in past Fleck. Had a loan spell at Halifax Town much earlier in his career, and it's swept out towards the far side here, and Grashicki. Infield it comes towards Batty, who's just in front of the centre circle, and it's pushed out to this near side, and Kane once again. The Chelsea loanee works it down the line to Jared Bowen. Back to Kane again, who tried to thread it a little further down the channel, but Enda Stevens, a goal scorer, intercepts and brings in David McGoldrick, who scored twice. It's rolled into the centre circle now, and Norwood. Things open up for Sheffield United and out to Baldock. Baldock scampering forward at pace here. Onto the corner of the penalty area, it's Mark Duffy. Back into Baldock on the angle. He shoots right through the 6-yard box. Well, the defender did it quite well, actually, not to touch it in for an own goal, and it goes out of play for a throw-in.
Yeah, the best thing he could have done was just let it run right across the 6-yard box. I felt for Hogan a little bit, actually, because he was just looking to get that ball pulled back a slight, just about 2 yards or so, and unfortunately Baldock's just smashed it across in there. I'm not against that, because sometimes you don't have time to pick people out there. He's just put it into an area. Sometimes it comes off, sometimes it doesn't. But, you know, I'd love to see the likes of Hogan to get a goal, because that's a confidence booster that I think he possibly needs.
Well, here's Henderson, not noted for a lack of confidence as he hammers the ball down the centre of the pitch. He's great to interview.
Yeah,
I think he's absolute box office, Dean Henderson.
You need characters like that, and he comes out and tells everybody he's going to play for Manchester United, he's going to be best ever. And
they could have done with him yesterday at Everton.
Yeah, they could. Yeah, but what do you want him to come out and be miserable and don't rate himself? You know, it takes an awful lot to become a professional footballer. Never mind that, and you won't get it with being shy and naive.
It's just unusual that so many footballer interviews are quite placid, aren't they? And then he comes out and says he wants to play for Man United in England.
They're all
brilliant,
media trained, and if I'm being perfectly honest, it gets very boring to listen to them all.
Well, here's Kane crossing what would be in rugby league terms the 40-yard line. The green markings here for Hull FC, and it's Fleck who just nudged the ball out of play for a throw-in, quite tight to the touchline. Kane will prepare to take the throw-in here. Hull City 3-0 down to Sheffield United. Grosicki operating on the right flank now. It's cleared away by Sheffield United over towards the far side, and Lehigh, former Villa youth team player, interchanging passes with Device, and Device gets it back 30 yards from his own goal. He's gone square to Robbie McKenzie, who's in the side today after an injury to Reece Burke, who played more often than not for Hull City today. 4.5 minutes of the second half played, and Lehigh's darting forward down the left-hand side. Here's Fraser Campbell. Had a backward header towards goal in the first half that was no trouble for Henderson. And now the ponytailed Irvine will spread it crossfield towards this near side, which is the right-hand side for Hull City, who have possession and have probably had more of it in the second half, but it's not really with a great deal of pace or purpose. Football Heaven on BBC Radio Sheffield. Now Kane. Kane gets the ball at his feet. Off it goes to Kane once again via Batty. Batty now to Bowen. Bowen onto his left peg, wriggling away from the attentions of Enda Stevens into a more central position. Up to Fraser Campbell, who will just flick his leg, nudge the ball away, but into the path of Enda Stevens, who doesn't need a second opportunity to clear it down the field of play. And then Batty at the touchline, struggling to control, is bounced it out of play for a throw-in. Well, you mentioned the title earlier, Keith. It's Stoke 1, Norwich 1. Stoke have equalised through Williams in that game. Norwich had led through Hernandez, and it's 3-0 to the Blades here. Well,
we look at it and set yourselves targets high. If you just miss out on them and still get up, then well, that's about a good attitude, isn't it? But this performance here is just, I can't tell you how good it is in the sense that they're getting the basics right. They won't let anybody settle down on the Hull City side. I mean, they will be looking at it, having had such a good run themselves, and thinking they just don't get a minute on the ball, and that's all through sheer hard work and determination not to let them settle. And once we've got it, we seem to have that bit longer on the ball.
And this after a quick turnaround. Who had the legs? Well, it's Sheffield United so far, well, quite considerably so far. 3-0 they lead. Here's Batty. Batty will launch a high diagonal ball forward that's there for Campbell, might come through to Grosicki, and a coming together between Craney and Campbell in the D. I always think it's quite funny when two players get up, both of them feel a little bit guilty, and one then realises the free kick's gone in his direction.
Yeah, that's it. He was pleading, I think, a little bit, wasn't he? Because it could have easily gone the other way, but the referee's done all right there. But both players have got up and they've accepted it. Hull look a little bit flat, don't they? And rightly so. It's nothing worse as a professional footballer to be getting beat like this at home, but they'll keep going, and I have said it about them since the game started. They go forward all right. It's defensively, there's obviously a question mark there today.
Well, Nigel Adkins was saying in his post-game press conference after the West Brom game that they were sombre, and that may well be that in terms of the playoffs. Well, it is, isn't it? And it will be mathematically, I think, after today's games, but we'll check on that later. Hull, to a certain extent, have done exceptionally well. The resurgence from Christmas onwards has got them away from relegation trouble into a position where they might still make the top 10, as here's an opportunity to cross, and Henderson dragged the ball out of the sky. It was a inventive run from Jared Bowen down the right hand side, but the cross was comfortably dealt with as we tick towards the 8th minute.
No, it looks a nice player, doesn't he? I know there's been a lot said about him, and rated very highly. A lot of Premiership teams looking at him. He's got 20 odd goals this season. He's positive, and he runs at people, and most crowds will like that.
Well, this could be a marker day in the course of automatic promotion from the Championship to the Premier League. Brentford leads later. The challenge well and truly laid by Sheffield United. 2 goals from David McGoldrick and 1 from Ender Stevens in the first half, and the Blades are cruising here. Here is McGoldrick bringing it under control, closed down by 2 Tigers, but he's had excellent close control, and he's swept away from 2 of them and out to the right hand side, and Baldock brings in Duffy at the byline, trying to tee up Hogan, but there was a defender who got a nick on it in the way, and away it goes. Hogan looking to finish from close range. He never got a chance, but it's the kind of chance that Hogan will be dreaming of today.
Yeah, nearly got through to him, didn't it?
Chesterfield are leading Boreham Wood by 2-1. Scott Bowden from the penalty spot in the 49th minute. Blackburn are now leading already relegated Bolton by 2-0. Armstrong again, he's having a decent season for Blackburn, isn't he? He's on the score sheet. So 3-0 here to the Blades, and Batty for Hull City cuts in from this near side, the right, just inside Sheffield United's half of the pitch, but they're forced backwards, and then rather languidly Kane picks out Mackenzie. Then Hull go crossfield. Nothing half-hearted about Sheffield United. They want more. And here's Baldock on the overlap on the corner of the penalty area to Duffy. Duffy strikes the cross, knowing it will hit the defender, and the Blades get a corner.
Yeah, well, every time we look it looked like breaking down that right-hand side, we've got men over. On one occasion there, we've got 5 against 4. A little bit down a little bit on themselves, Hull, but they'll keep going forward, but they'll have to take some chances. So, if you rightly pointed out, that goal difference is in effect another point, and we might be able to add to the tally.
Well, as it stands, that goal difference is 9. Football heaven on BBC Radio Sheffield, so the Blades looking for a 4th goal here at Hull. In comes the corner, but as it flew into the 6-yard box, it was gathered up by George Long. Interesting day for him. Go out and prove that Sheffield United were wrong to let you go. I will stress at this stage there's nothing he could do about the goals.
Yes,
that is for certain, but an odd time to make your first Championship start. But as perhaps has been explained, it's just to see what they've got if David Marshall looks elsewhere next season, as he's expected to. As the ball goes out towards the far side, a cushioned defensive header from Lehigh takes the ball away from McGoldrick. Hull now looking to attack from left to right, and it's in the centre circle, and Batty keeps it moving down to Bowen. Bowen's closed down by Ender Stevens. Bowen works it in field now to Batty, and now Hull City are in a place to cross here, just outside the box. Pugh plays a short pass. Infield it comes to Kane, and now turning by the corner flag, it's Batty wriggling underneath Ender Stevens. It's gone back. Here comes the cross from Kane towards Campbell. Not really had much of a sniff today, and it goes out to Lehigh, who turns it in infield now to Bowen, who's into a central position. He scoops it into the penalty area. Batty flies after it. It was a forlorn chase to try and keep the ball from going out of play. In the end, poor quality from Hull City.
Yeah, it's just they're getting a little bit frustrated and it's not quite working out for him. Even if he'd have got that ball in, I'm not quite sure what he was going to do with it, but he was stretching. But that makes it that bit easier for Sheffield United. And this game will get to a stage where you think, right guys, just keep the ball. It's a lot harder to work without the ball than it is with, and let's just keep the ball, save a bit of energy. It's two massive games coming up, and just having a steady second half. I mean, not that these lads lack fitness, my word. I don't think I've ever seen a team work as hard, and especially together. Everybody helps one another.
Well, Stevens flew into a challenge with Campbell there. The ball actually broke away from the pair of them, and then Fleck really had to bring down Bowen. Incidentally, those two games against Ipswich and Stoke City you can hear in full on BBC Radio Sheffield next Saturday tea time, and a week on Sunday. So Sheffield United dreaming of Premier League football next season, leading by 3-0. McGoldrick, who's scored 2 goals today, almost fluffed it at the back, but he gets the clearance away.
I want to know his new diet. I need some of that.
When you find out, tell me.
He's all over the place.
He's having an outstanding day,
yes,
and his second goal, well, I'm sure it will be on social media by now, but when it is aired on the box, make sure you watch it. What a screamer. A goal at the New York Stadium. Here's Tom Bilkley.
Rotherham 1, Birmingham City 1, and it's a former Sheffield Wednesday player in Jags Magoma who sank a dagger to the heart of the Millers. He just waltzed forward from 25 yards, was invited to the edge of the area and curled one past Marek Rodak into the back of the net, and the Millers in this opening 10 minutes have looked quite withdrawn, but they're now pegged back level. It's 1-1 here at the New York Stadium.
Hull City trying to muster attack here. Withdrawal's not a bad word to describe Hull City. They've gone crossfield. Lehigh lets the ball cannon off his chest. He takes on Baldock, sweeps in the cross. It hangs high into the box, but easily taken by Dean Henderson. Had all the time in the world to drag that out of the air. Hull 0, Sheffield United 3 here on what is the 59th meeting between these two sides. Last one here in 2010. Mark Yates was the scorer of the winning goal that day. Of course, they've not played every year in the intervening period. Hull City have had their time in the Premier League as well. 5 of the last 11 seasons for Hull City have been in the top flight, but it's cost them, and it cost them big as well. And now Sheffield United, with Chris Wilder just at the ear of Chris Basham, will send on a few final instructions, and Mark Duffy is the man making way. Speaking of influential guys possibly now to have a rest, here it goes, and Basham gets a run. Nothing wrong with that. Basham comes on there, gives him a run out, tightens that midfield up. Duffy, he comes in and out the side, but whenever he's in it, he's a little creative guy that can make things happen. When it's not quite happening for us, he's the type of lad who can just spark it off, and away we go. So he's great. He can feel very good about himself. Well, he scored some important goals himself this season, Chris Basham, hasn't he? One against Rotherham late in the day, the winner at Leeds United as well, adding to his, contributing to his tally of 3. I think people like Basham, when everything's back to normal and they're all fit, I think you look at somebody like him, his first name on the sheet. Well, in some respects, one potential player of the season candidate has just replaced another. Yeah, and how many? When I say that, I thought, as I was saying it, I thought, well, actually, how many players could you stick there? And you look at it and you think, well, you could say that about him. You can say the centre half, the Norwood, and everybody else. Fleck, such good, consistent performances. Well, we're into the last half an hour here at the KCOM Stadium. Let's see how everybody else is getting on. Sheffield United 3-0 to the good. All the goals in the first half here, as perhaps is natural and a little understandable. The second half has been low-key, but Sheffield United do look menacing when they go forward. We'll head round the grounds in a few moments' time. They're on the attack here with Basham, who gets his first touch of the ball, laying the ball out for George Baldock to run on to. Corner of the penalty area, out to Norwood, who spreads play to pick out Basham, teasing ball in at the near post. He'll get a second chance to cross as that one was pushed away. Basham scooping it on, looking for the runner who was Craney on the overlap. Yes, the centre half was further forward than everybody else, but Hull City get it back and will head around the grounds to Hillsborough. Adam Oxley.
Corner for Bristol City just sails over. Still Sheffield Wednesday 2, Bristol City 0. The visitors having a pretty strong start to the second half. Couple of chances for Vyman, a flick header that Dawson claimed, then a run and shot wide. We've seen Webster with a shot over to the main chance for Wednesday. Joao letting fly from 25, a foot over, and a first change by Steve Bruce. Josh Onimer on for Gary Hooper. We're at the hour mark. It's Wednesday 2, Bristol City 0.
Well, last we heard, Rotherham had been pegged back, Tom Bilcliffe.
Rotherham 1, Birmingham City 1. Rotherham looking to respond to Jags Magoma's equaliser just a few moments ago. In fairness, Paul Warne's side look quite shell-shocked by proceedings. In fact, Magoma's just curled a free kick against the wall and behind for a corner kick. They've got 30 minutes in which to try and almost save their season. They've just thrown on John Taylor in place of Joe Newell. It's Rotherham 1, Birmingham City 1.
Swansea leading at already relegated Ipswich by a goal to nil. Wayne Routledge on the score sheet. So corner to Hull City, which Bowen will take from this near side, the right. The heads go up. It's Craney who gets it clear. Norwood helps it on in the air from the edge of the penalty area, and Fleck hammers it forward. And here's an opportunity for Hogan to see some of the ball. He's holding it up well. He runs into a challenge of two Tigers and loses out. And it's pushed back towards the keeper, George Long. Incidentally, Barnsley 3-0 up at Plymouth and cruising in that game there in League One. Chesterfield leading by 2-1. Doncaster Rovers, of course, standalone game tomorrow. You can hear it in full. Their quest for the end of season playoffs. 18 second half minutes play. The pace of the game has dipped here, Keith, because Sheffield United are just in such a commanding position.
Yeah, they're having to chase the game. We just like to play keep ball, and if we can get one or two people away, then that's fine. If not, we're just fairly content, aren't we? As I say, the hard work's done.
2-2 between Chesterfield and Boreham Wood. Shaibu with a penalty on 59 minutes. Praise or grumble follows all of the games. 0800 111 49 at 49. This is some message Sheffield United are sending out to Leeds United. In comes a Hull City cross, high into the penalty area, far too high, massive in fact. The delivery, the quality of the delivery today from Hull City, as you might expect from a side who've had the wind knocked out of their sails in the first half, and indeed on Friday too as well, but it has been poor.
Yeah, it's a long second half for them, isn't it? We're not the thing about it is Sheffield United don't give up on it. They still go for every tackle, and Hull City must be sat there going, just give us a little break here, the game's won. You don't have to keep chasing me down.
Well, interestingly, just as you were saying that, we have the advantage that the club have a TV monitor just in front of us here, and there was a shot of Chris Wilder motioning to the players, look, just keep going, keep going.
Yeah, he'll want that, because he's aware that he does one goal and then you start to worry maybe, but I think this performance is at such a good level that we've got Hull beaten in every department. I quite like the fact that they go forward quite well, but they're just not a match for us today whatsoever.
Football heaven, BBC Radio Sheffield. The ball boy gets the ball back from just underneath the advertising hoardings. It will be a throw into Sheffield United just in front of Nigel Adkins. He, like some of the players here at Hull City, is out of contract in the summer, and it may be, given the fact that he's led their survival bid last season and got them into a position of relative strength despite their problems this season, will be interested or attracting interest from other clubs. So it might be he's not at Hull City next season. So throw in here, goal at the New York Stadium. Tom Bilcliffe.
Rotherham United 1, Birmingham City 2. It's been a fairly quick and painful turnaround from the visitors. Che Adams accelerated down the right hand side, brushed aside Richard Wood, and then pulled it back to Jota, the Spanish midfielder, who had the freedom of the Rotherham penalty area to tap home from just 12 yards out. All to do for Paul Warne's side. They trail by 2-1.
Well, it's Charlton 2, Scunthorpe 0 down at the Valley. Big game at the top and bottom, and Nottingham Forest have responded to that defeat to Sheffield United, or are responding to it. They're leading Middlesbrough by 2 goals to 0. So, football heaven on BBC Radio Sheffield. If the table was to finish now, Middlesbrough would be 6, despite the fact that they are losing in that game. But there are those that have games in hand. Bristol City and Derby County, of course, a little beneath that. Sheffield United, as things stand, 3 points behind Norwich City, but 3 clear of Leeds, who play later. Here's Baldock out on the right hand side. In goes the cross, looking for Hogan, shooting off his goal line. George Long makes the save. It's his first championship start. He did come on in the championship this season as a substitute down in a game against Brentford. He's also played in cup games this season, and a double substitution made by Nigel Adkins. John Terrell is coming on for the home team, a little Spaniard, formerly of Arsenal, technically gifted player, replacing Bournemouth's Mark Pugh, and is warmly applauded onto the field of play. And Noah Dicko, who scored the goal the last time the Blades were here in that freezing cold match last January-February time, he's coming on for Fraser Campbell, and it's not been his day today. But we all know Noah Dicko can be a handful. It was awesome for Rotherham United and a pain for Sheffield United the last time they were here. So throw into Hull City as the game restarts. We've had 68 minutes of play here. Football heaven, BBC Radio Sheffield. Chance for Chris Wilder from the away end over on the far side. He's one of our own, as Chris Wilder just plots with his coaching staff a change, or another change for Sheffield United. 1 or 2 pieces of paper being handed around down there between Alan Nill, Matt Prestridge, etc. Hull City on the attack, just outside the corner of the penalty area. Back it comes to Bowen, who wriggles up past one challenge, then runs into a second, but there's Enda Stevens, who turned past the attacking player and came away with the ball. Up it goes to Scott Hogan, a little bit of miscontrol. McGoldrick on the deck scrapping for it, and he still managed to get it back to a Blades player. If I was him, I'd buy a lottery ticket tonight. Here's George Baldock. He can do no wrong today, David McGoldrick, even when he does miscontrol.
Yeah, he's winning the ball and still finds the Sheffield United player when he's on his backside. So yeah, if you interview him, ask him for 5 numbers. So 6.
I'd take 5. That's not so bad. Here's McGoldrick on a hat-trick, and left-footed. He let rip from a central position, but it veered in the end some 10 or 15 yards wide of goal.
Yeah, good play again, once again. Just running things down. Save a bit of energy, guys, because I think you've got this team beat, and you can just keep ball.
Well, a reminder, Hull City were 12 unbeaten at home, of which they'd won 9 of those games in the build-up to this one. It's their away form that's let them down, as Grashicki, as he pressed to try and win the ball at the byline, runs the ball out of play for a goal kick. So Sheffield United in red and white as things stand, 3 points clear in second place in the table. Brentford leads later. Norwich now leads Stoke by 2 goals to 1. Pookie, you won't be surprised to learn on the score sheet, that's 28 for the season now for him, has scored in the 66th minute. And now a change. Hogan goes off, Medine comes on, and it's not really been Hogan's day today.
No, he's worked hard, he's chased things, he's not quite getting the run of the ball in and around the box there. He's made some runs into the near post, and it hasn't come his way. He needs a couple of goals for confidence wise, but he's quick, he's athletic, he looks to get beyond people. He'll still got a part to possibly to play. If you know Chris like we do, then he'll have a good attitude, this Hogan, and he will be a little bit frustrated, but overall he's had his chance today, and on occasions the ball could have come through and it just missed out. That's how it goes as a striker.
Yeah, spoke really well in the interview he gave upon his arrival at Sheffield United about his frustrations and his ambitions. Medine with a back flick, looked to try and loop it up in search of David McGoldrick, just didn't quite come for him. Robbie McKenzie with a headed clearance away. Now it will be a free kick which Hull take too quickly for the referee and indeed some of their own players liking, and will have to re-spot it and take it again. So 26 minutes of the game played here. The bearded David McGoldrick just flashes up on the monitor beneath us here. And, well, the only noise you might be able to hear through our mics are that of the cheering blades over on the far side here. Many of them screening their eyes in the sunshine here at the KCOM Stadium. It is their side who are leading by 3-0. McGoldrick at the double and Enda Stevens with the other. Praise or grumble follows all of this afternoon's matches. Some pretty emphatic scorelines as Bowen knocks it across from the right-hand side. It's headed clear. Plymouth 0, Barnsley 3 is the latest score at home park. Sheffield Wednesday look as though they're on for an impressive win against Bristol City. Another cross to the edge of the Blades box, but then a heavy hack at the ball from Grzycki, and it rather tamely goes behind for a goal kick. Rotherham United, though, they're in a spot of bother, need to get back on terms at home to Birmingham City, and Chesterfield are leading as well. Usual ways of getting in touch and all the reaction on the programme. Don't miss it. Sheffield United have been superb today.
Certainly have. Went out there with the right kind of commitment, closing people down. You earn the right to win the game, and then the bonus is getting stunning goals like we have. The complete performance, really.
Here's Fleck, number 4 on his back, trying to thread a square ball in towards David McGoldrick, who's got 2 of those. Batty and Kane combine in the right back area and push the ball into the middle of the park. Here's Norwood now, looking to turn. He looks upfield. He disguised the ball and then is able to chip it to the edge of the box. Well, they'll all be desperate to play in the Premier League. And Ollie Norwood has been promoted twice to the top flight and has still yet to have a Premier League appearance on his CV.
It's a bit harsh, that, isn't it, really?
Very much so.
When you consider, it's hard enough to get out of this division, but that's most probably down to the teams that he's done it with. They've moved on with some bigger signings, and you take it from there. But we've got to be delighted with him. He's that little quality player that who you can just give the ball to. He's always available to receive the ball, and he's a good passer of the ball. I wish he would add a few more shots to his game, but maybe that'll come.
Well, he's got a couple of goals in different games against Brentford, hasn't he? And one against Aston Villa, but he's not the only one in Sheffield United's midfield that has the ability to shoot more. And, well, don't always, do they? But that's nitpicking, really.
Yeah.
Otherwise.
Yeah. In many respects, yeah. But, I'm the same, Andy. I've done it as well. I've looked and thought, why don't we shoot more from midfield? Why don't we, when there's not a great deal on, you're going out to your fullback. He doesn't look as if he's in a position to actually get a good cross in and have a bit of a pop at goal. Things are. McGoldrick just showed that it can be done.
Well, he's now got 15 for the season, David McGoldrick.
That's a fabulous return because he does drop deep and he works hard. He's always on the move. That's what I like about him. He's always looking to help his teammates out. And they must be delighted with him. Chris must. How many times have we said, what a fabulous set? I said the same about Clark. How's he brought the best out in him? And which something about training or something about his mental attitude towards it, whether they're happy, and certainly works.
Which was invariably preceded by, what have they signed him for?
Yeah.
Not necessarily by you, but people question signings when they just think, free transfer wasn't really doing anything much.
I couldn't make my mind up about Clark for 10, 15 games. I kept saying yes, and then I would change him, and invariably I would have to say no. But then he has that great spell, and he proved himself, and I'm just glad he proved himself for Wigan the other week. But let's put that aside and let's not get too far in front of ourselves.
Long way to go.
Yeah, it's a very. I'd like to see what there's. We've got 15 minutes. Just save that bit of energy now. Hull have run out of ideas. They're not going to get in this. And then you look at just pass the ball around in a nice, simple fashion. Nothing spectacular. Just save a bit of energy. Job's done.
Well, Chris Wilder has just walked back to his technical area, stuck his arm round Alan Neil, had a quick word in the ear. They're having some kind of conference about something, possibly another change down on the pitch side. We are very much in the gods here at the KCOM Stadium. as the ball sails over the head of substitute Gary Medine. It's tossed further back down the centre of the pitch. Here's Fleck just on the volley, knocking it into the centre circle, and Norwood's just beaten to it in a split second by Irvine, and now Dicko is the intended target from Terrell. Sheffield United defending the end away to our right hand side, and it's Terrell for Hull City out to Lehigh, and now Irvine again, bringing in Grosicki with a short pass. Grosicki now on the front foot, driving to the edge of the penalty area, given away by Sheffield United, and in the end the curling shot, I think it was Lehigh who hit it in the end. It did force Dean Henderson into a little scramble, but it curled well over the angle of crossbar and post by some distance.
Yeah, not too much to worry about there, as if you're not going to hit the target. So once again, we kept him at a distance. That's pretty comfortable for the goalkeeper.
Well, it's Stoke 2, Norwich 2. Charlton are now leading Scunthorpe by 3-0. Scunthorpe very much in danger of going down. In fact, it's 4-0 now to Charlton in that one. Wigan are leading Preston by 2-0. Let's see how the rest of our sides are getting on. In fact, let's start at the New York Stadium. Any sign of a response for Rotherham, Tom Bilcliffe?
Perhaps they've got a free kick down this left edge, should I say, of Rotherham. They trail by 2-1. Time seems to be running out for them, and quickly. The second half has absolutely flown by, and as yet they haven't tested Lee Camp. It's going to take something spectacular in the remaining 15 minutes. Let's hope it's from this free kick, but there's a little break in play. Actually, no, let's stay with it, as the wall is the one-man yotter. There's a Jai at the back post. They're jostling for position on the penalty spot, and here is the Rotherham midfielder Anthony Ford, who stands over it. Pretty much everyone up from the back for this, as you'd expect. Ford will clip it towards the back post. There's a scramble, and it's been nodded just away from goal. It's Rotherham 1, Birmingham City 2.
Hillsborough next, Adam Oxley.
14 to go here. The Owls still 2-0 up against Bristol City. Fernando Forestieri's come on for George Boyd. Good reception for him. One counter for Wednesday that brought a corner, but no real chances since you were last with her. They're seeing it out pretty well. Couple of shots from distance for Bristol City from 25 yards, but neither testing Cameron Dawson. The Owls on for victory here at Hillsborough.
So too Barnsley down at Plymouth. 3-0 was the half-time scoreline. That is as it is as things stand, and Chesterfield leading in their game as well. Football Heaven on BBC Radio Sheffield. I beg your pardon, it's 2-2 between Chesterfield and Boreham Wood. Sheffield United 12 minutes or so away from victory here at the KCOM Stadium. A victory teed up by an outstanding first half display. It hasn't needed to be anything like in the second half, and Dean Henderson has had a relatively easy day in the Sheffield United goal. So, Football Heaven on BBC Radio Sheffield. Don't forget, you can talk about all of this tonight and throughout the week. It's blocked by John Fleck in a central position, and now Medine brings the ball off his chest. Lovely turn. Off it goes to McGoldrick on a hat-trick. Inside left channel of the penalty area. McGoldrick works it back to Stevens. Stevens bends in the cross. Closed down by Device, the defender, and out for a attacking throw in here on BBC Radio Sheffield. Stevens, the Republic of Ireland international, prepares to take said throw in. Ambling forward and then shooting out at pace. John Fleck will get it back to Stevens. 10 yards in from the corner flag, needs some support, drags it underneath his studs, looks to try and dummy the defender Kane. It's hooked on now to Medine, shielding the ball well. Ender Stevens onto Fleck, corner of the penalty area, deft touch to McGoldrick, back to Fleck. Oh, and it's brought the save from Long. Glorious football from Sheffield United, intricate in and around the penalty area. Fleck was through on his left peg, but shooting out Long, and it deflects wide.
Yeah, great movement, wasn't it? Once again, McGoldrick on fire. Just a lovely little flick in there. It's a nice skill. It hit the target, but the defender's just got something on it. It's just pushed it wide, but once again, what lovely football, little 1-2s. You can see the confidence is high, and they feel as if they can achieve anything at this moment.
In comes the Blades corner from the right hand side. Long went for it, got a touch to it. It's cleared to the edge of the penalty area. Hull City will try and counter attack here, and may well be able to, as Bowen distributes the ball to Terrell. A lovely drop of the shoulder as he snakes his way infield away from Chris Basham. Out to Dicko to the edge of the box. Bowen shoots, hit it first time, hit with venom and a low trajectory, but in the end it was straight at Dean Henderson, who killed it dead in its tracks.
Yep.
Save made.
Highly rated striker, struck it well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
It was good technique, his knees over the ball, he's brought it back, keeper's in the perfect spot, just pushes it down. Hull still trying to go forward. Richie will give us a chance if we want it to hit him on the break, but either way, these two lads have come on up front now, and they look as if they're in nicely control of situations. They're holding the ball up and bringing midfield players into it.
Well, 9 to go. The ball is at the back with Robbie McKenzie. Down to this near side and right fullback Todd Kane. It will deflect from Terrell out to Bowen. Bowen drives past Stevens, up goes the cross, and in the end it will be nowhere near anybody in Tigers colours. Too high, too long, too deep. Throw-in Blades. Ipswich Town next weekend. Tea time kickoff. We'll be there, full match commentary, and then similarly for the Stoke game too. It's really over to Leeds United now, who have Brentford tonight, Aston Villa next Sunday, and then of course they will play at the same time, and as Sheffield United are at Stoke, Leeds United will be at Ipswich Town, of course, whose fate is already sealed. Here in the centre circle it will be pushed by Batty to Kane, and now back to McKenzie, and there's David McGoldrick tearing after the defender. George Long will distribute it high into the air. Terrell's underneath it and gets a little backward header, which Ender Stevens will dispatch straight down the field of play. Madine's pressure on the ball, and it drops for Fleck 25 yards out. He turns over it. It's laid out towards Norwood, who brings in Baldock. Baldock will stand up, put his studs on the ball and go back. Well, they had an opportunity to attack then, Sheffield United. They're not necessarily under pressure to do so, and they've gone back to halfway. Here they are in the sunshine with Baldock, who's dispossessed. It will guard a play for a throw-in to Sheffield United here, and they lead by 3-0. 83 minutes of the game played. The Blades fans on the far side enjoying their day in the sunshine. There'll be a few sunburnt faces tonight.
There'll be a few happy faces as well. I don't think that'll worry them, will it? They've had a great day, it's been a beautiful weekend. As I say, if you'd have looked and said, well, we can score 5, and with 7 minutes to go.
Without reply, here's Ender Stevens into the penalty area, looking for Madine, who'd committed to a run at the near post. Don't think he made any contact, and the keeper Long makes the save low down.
We keep looking to get forward as well. I can applaud that.
Well, the fourth goal really would be the icing on the cake. 3-0, and it's been 3-0 for a long time now. Sheffield United dominant, looking every inch automatic promotion contenders. Here's Batty racing after it. O'Connell barely said his name in the second half, haven't really had to, and he will clear the ball into the stand. Oxford leading at Shrewsbury by 3-2 in the jostle for placings in League One. Sheffield Wednesday leading Bristol City 2-0. Rotherham, well, they need a goal in their game in the Championship against Birmingham City. They're 2-1 down. Barnsley are going to win today. They're at Plymouth and leading 3-0, as they were doing so at half-time. Same here for Sheffield United. So it will be a free kick to Hull City, just outside of the corner of the penalty area. And Kane and Terrell both stand over the ball. The Spaniard just to the right of it, Kane to the left, as the likes of Device and McKenzie come forward from the back for Hull City. No threat so far. Fleck and Norwood will be the two-man wall, and the referee's just having a word with them, trying to push them behind the line, which is just inside the 18-yard box here. Remember, Sheffield United leading by 3-0, and we're into the final 5 minutes. Here's Terrell on his left boot, scooping the ball in towards the back of the 6-yard box. It's headed clear. Grzycki will prevent it from going out of play. Here is the Poland international, hooking in his cross high into the penalty area. Dicko gets it. Terrell's after it, tried to shoot through a load of players on the edge of the 6-yard box, and Sheffield United quickly dispatch it towards the halfway line. Terrell again had a positive impact for Hull City since coming off the bench. Will bend it in with the outside of his right boot. Easily cleared to the stand by Jack O'Connell. Nottingham Forest have gone 3-0 up on Middlesbrough. Lolly on the score sheet. And now an opportunity for Hull City to cross. Deep inside Sheffield United's defensive third, but they've not taken it. And Batty, he will now try and cross it, but he's gone high along the 18-yard box. Lehigh and Baldock both rose for the ball. Neither made contact. Lehigh will try and cross. That cross is deflected, and Hull City have a corner.
Well, good little spell for Hull City, but they just can't wear us down, can they? Corner kicks have been quite good. If it's anywhere near Henderson, he will come for it confidently. They've gone short.
Well, an emphatic first half performance, and the Blades lead by 3-0. Grashicki teases across into the box. Device had a swing at it, missed it, and now Bowen might have a go. And in the end, although he got his left boot behind it, oh, well, he's got the deflection, so says the referee, and it's gone away for a corner.
Yeah, well, just give him the benefit of the doubt there. Fair enough.
It didn't look like there was much of a
no,
deflection.
No, did it really? So we'll see here possibly, but it's something that we can just defend against. And let's go straight away. Where was that deflection?
So football heaven on BBC Radio Sheffield. Grashicki's corner from the left into the penalty area, headed away by Medine, out to Terrell, who smashed it, but it's cannoned off Jackson Irvin's knee. That took the sting out of it, and it was easy for Jack O'Connell just to smash it high down the middle of the park, forcing Hull City to backtrack. Kane has it now 10 yards short of the halfway line, and well, that party has been going all through the second half. Great noise from the away end over on the far side of the pitch, and Medine chests the ball down. He'll lay it into the path of Norwood, and Medine gets it back, trying to just give Device the slip, but he's watched the ball rather than the man and won it back. And now Batty will come forward for Hull City, trying to get a little consolation goal before the end of the game. 87, nearly 88 minutes of the game played here. Chesterfield are now leading Boreham Wood by 3-2. Tom Denton on the score sheet, and now a searching ball out towards the far side, and McGoldrick on a hat-trick has kept it in play. He's driven into a challenge with the Device, and well, he's ended up on his back. He'd done well to keep it from going out of play, the ball, but well, he ran into trouble, and the defender comes away with it. And Hull City, in somewhat laboured fashion, worked their way into Sheffield United's territory. Here's Jackson Irvine. Not scored a league goal for a while, Jackson Irvine, not scored since Boxing Day. Here is Grashicki, he's got 3 in white around him, hounding the pole for the ball, and then a shot from Batty. A little half-hearted jump from Dean Henderson. He knew that was going over. 90 seconds of normal time to go, Keith Edwards.
Well, it's a good performance, isn't it, overall? We're going to make another substitution here, give somebody else a run out.
Yeah, Connor Washington.
Save the legs of somebody else. Well, I think that was possibly the right substitution, just to allow this lad to have his moment of glory. McGoldrick has been stunning today. What a performance from a guy who's most probably possibly brought in to make a few contributions, and let's see what he can do. We'll take a little bit of a chance. He's got a good touch, leads the line well, but we've had so much out of him this season. Well done, Chris, and another great signing. Nice hug from his manager, that's always nice, makes you feel good.
And a high five from Alan Nill, and off he goes to sit down. Well, in the battle to stay in the Football League, Morecambe are winning 4-0. Football heaven on BBC Radio Sheffield. So it will be a throw-in, and we'll find out in a few moments' time how much added time there will be.
I think it's fair to say it's never been in doubt, this, has it? You know, even if we could have looked into the future of this game, even at 1-0, we would have been pretty comfortable with it. We've kept the ball well. We've saved a bit of energy this second half, which is using your head.
3 minutes of added time here. Scored in the 10th minute. Never looked back after that. Added a second on 22 and a third on 42.
Yeah, some performance. You know, you looked at it where I sort of compared it and thought, where would you rather go, Brentford or Hull? And I sat there and I thought, nice big ground. You know, it's just in the mind, because it's, you know, the ground's mostly the same size. Brentford can be a little difficult place to go, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
And Hull have had such a great record here, but we've really put that to bed very, very early on in the game.
Well, Leeds United don't have a great record at Brentford. Brentford are strong at home this season. If you're looking for all those little statistical nuances, advantages or disadvantages, Sheffield United have done their bit today, and they're leading by 3-0. McGoldrick at the double, Ender Stevens with the other, all the goals in the first half. Wednesday leading 2-0, Rotherham 2-1 down. Hopefully they can scramble an equaliser over the course of the remainder of that match there. Here's Medine shielding the ball. Connor Washington awaiting a cross inside in the 18-yard box at the moment, and a foul on Gary Medine far side from Lehigh. So it will be a free kick to the Blades, pretty much 6 inches outside of the corner quadrant.
Yeah, well, let's just run a bit of time down.
Well, we've had 90 seconds of the 3 minutes added on. Blades shielding the ball by the corner flag, just in front of their fans who are bouncing up and down and cheering. Basham wins it back. Basham on the field from the bench today. Good to see him back in action after his hamstring troubles. But what a day this is proving to be for Sheffield United. The tricky bank holiday has been passed with flying colours.
Yeah, we were a little bit negative, having drawn a few, and you sort of look at some of the performances that we had, and this has been a real tonic. This, you know, beating Forest 2-0, that gives you a little bit of confidence. Got back to that standard. It was still quite good before. They still work hard. I mean, I've just watched the ball being cleared from Hull, and on 2 occasions we come out tackling, and we won them tackles. In the 90th plus minute, we're still winning tackles. I mean, if that doesn't tell you something about these lads, then nothing does.
Well, the referee takes a check of his watch here at the KCOM Stadium as Hull City are in possession of the football. A second check of the watch by the referee in the centre circle. George Long is urging everybody forward. The referee puts his whistle to his mouth and calls full time. What an outstanding win for Sheffield United. It was job done in the first half with a brace from David McGoldrick and a third goal from Ender Stevens. Some real picture postcard goals as well. And the challenge to Leeds United has well and truly been laid down here by Sheffield United at Hull City. What a bank holiday weekend it has been for them. 2 big challenges, both passed with flying colours. Full time then here, Hull City 0, Sheffield United 3.
Well, that was a great performance. That's just what we needed, and what I like about it is we saved a bit of energy second half. You know, we've got 2 huge games to go. Yeah, with 2 games to go, we're still going to be second in the league. I mean, would you have predicted that? No, none of us were. We all like to think that we're very good at our job, and we're going to predict this and we're going to do that. But yeah, I think that is some achievement, and that's just another 3 points towards what the ultimate goal, isn't it? And that's just we're getting giddy now. I just feel as if the group of lads they'll not put a bad performance in. That's the thing, you know. I can say that with utmost confidence. I'm not saying we're going to win the next 2 games, but they won't put a bad performance in. They'll close people down, they'll keep battling, and that's what we've done. And then you just had a little bit of quality from players like McGoldrick, who's a great example towards what Chris looks for in players. They come out and possibly playing the best football of his life at 32-year-old and scoring wonderful goals. So there's everything there, and it's great to see that they've gone over. Supporters haven't travelled too far today. It's a lovely little run in beautiful conditions, but that they've come out in their numbers, and they're getting the response that they would like to see from